The coffee shop hummed with quiet conversation, steam rising from ceramic mugs and the soft clatter of ceramic against wooden tables. Hana Kim sat in the corner, her dark eyes carefully watching the human interactions around her. She wasn't like other researchers. Where most alien anthropologists would maintain clinical distance, she wanted to truly understand. Her translator device, cleverly disguised as a simple wireless earpiece, captured every nuanced conversation. Humans were fascinating creatures, unpredictable, emotional, driven by complex social dynamics that seemed almost magical to her species. A young couple near the window caught her attention. The man leaned forward, his fingers gently touching the woman's hand. Not a formal contract negotiation, not a strategic genetic matching, just connection. Hana's digital notebook flickered with rapid observations. Humans communicated through subtle gestures, unspoken signals, and emotional resonances that defied straightforward scientific analysis. Their courtship rituals were nothing like the structured, logical mate selection processes of her civilization. A barista approached her table. "Would you like a refill?" she asked, her smile warm and genuine. "Yes, thank you," Hana responded, her accent slightly off but understandable. She knew she looked human enough. Carefully selected genetic modifications ensured she could blend seamlessly. Dark hair cut in a modern style, casual clothing that matched local fashion trends, even a small tattoo on her wrist to appear more authentic. The coffee shop door opened, bringing a rush of cold air and new potential subjects for her research. A group of young professionals entered, their interactions a complex dance of social hierarchies and unspoken romantic tensions. One man, tall, wearing a dark blue jacket, caught her attention. He moved with a confidence that suggested he understood these complex social rules intuitively. Humans seem to have an incredible ability to communicate complex emotions without explicit verbal explanations. Hana's research wasn't just about documenting. She wanted to understand. Why did humans form connections so differently from her own species? What made their emotional intelligence so unique? Her preliminary data suggested that human courtship wasn't about genetic optimization or strategic reproduction. It was about feeling, about connection, about something far more complicated than simple biological imperative. A notification blinked on her translator. Her research team back home would be waiting for her daily report. They expected clinical observations, statistical analysis, quantifiable data points. But Hana knew the real story was in the moments between words, in the subtle glances, the unexpected touches, the soft laughter. The man in the blue jacket looked her way. For a moment, their eyes met. Something shifted. Research was about observation. But understanding, that required something more. Proximity. Interaction. Experience. Hana took a slow sip of her coffee, her heart racing with possibilities. Humans would never know she wasn't one of them. But today, in this moment, she wanted to learn their most complicated language, the language of connection, the language of love. Her digital notebook continued recording, capturing every subtle moment of human interaction, each gesture, each whispered conversation, each unspoken emotion. Outside, the city moved. Inside the coffee shop, 1,000 stories unfolded, and Hana Kim watched, waited, and wondered what unexpected discoveries would emerge from this simple moment of human existence. Her mission had only just begun. Would you like me to continue with the next part, or refine this section further? Fee. Dating app glowed softly in the dim light of Hana's apartment. Rows of human faces flickered across the screen, each profile a complex puzzle of personal desires, interests, and unspoken hopes. She had downloaded multiple applications, determined to understand the intricate human mating rituals. "Swipe right," she mumbled to herself, mimicking a phrase she had overheard younger humans use. Her finger hovered, then touched the screen. Another face, another potential subject of research. Jay Park's profile appeared. Something about his eyes caught her attention. Not just the physical characteristics, but something deeper, a kind of openness, a hint of humor that seemed to dance just beneath the surface of his carefully composed photograph. Her research had taught her that human attraction wasn't a simple mathematical equation. It was chaos. Beautiful, unpredictable chaos. A message. Notification popped up. "Hey there," Jay's message read. Simple, direct, yet loaded with potential meanings. Hannah hesitated. Her training had prepared her for scientific observation, not for the complex emotional navigation of human communication. What was the appropriate response? Too eager would seem desperate. Too cold would terminate potential interaction, she typed. Deleted. Typed again. "Hello," she finally sent. The 3 dots indicating a response appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Human communication was an intricate dance of timing, intention, and unspoken rules. Their first video call was awkward. Hannah had studied human facial expressions, but experiencing them in real time was different. Jay smiled. She attempted to smile back, aware that her smile might look slightly mechanical. "So what do you do?" he asked. A standard human interaction protocol. She had researched this, small talk, the social lubrication that allowed deeper connections to form. "Research," she responded. "Technically true, though not the whole truth." Jay laughed, a sound that seemed to carry multiple emotional layers. Humor, curiosity, something else she couldn't quite decode. They agreed to meet at a local restaurant. Another human ritual. The first date. A complex social interaction designed to assess compatibility through conversation, body language, and shared meal experiences. Hannah spent hours preparing. Not just her appearance, but her conversational strategies. She had downloaded multiple guides about human dating etiquette. What to say, what not to say, how to show interest without appearing desperate. The restaurant was busy. Soft music played. Candlelight created intimate shadows. Each table seemed to contain its own small universe of human interaction. Jay arrived exactly on time. Another data point for her research. Punctuality as a form of social respect. "You look nice," he said, a compliment. Another complex communication tool designed to create positive emotional responses. Their conversation meandered. He spoke about his work in graphic design. She carefully constructed responses that revealed enough to maintain interest, but not enough to expose her true nature. Humans were masters of indirect communication. They could discuss seemingly mundane topics, work, weather, personal interests, while simultaneously communicating complex emotional landscapes. A piece of bread fell from Jay's fork. He laughed. She observed how such a small, potentially embarrassing, moment was transformed into a moment of shared humor. Research, Hannah was learning, was more than collecting data. It was about experiencing, about understanding the spaces between words, the moments of connection that couldn't be quantified. As the evening progressed, she realized something fundamental was changing. This was no longer just an anthropological study. This was becoming something else entirely. "Would you like me to continue with the next part or refine this section further?" The city park was quiet, autumn leaves dancing across the walking path. Hannah sat on a bench, her digital notebook open, watching couples and families move around her. Each interaction was a potential research moment, a glimpse into human, emotional complexity. Jay appeared suddenly, his breath creating small clouds in the cool air. "Didn't expect to see you here," he said, sitting down beside her. Coincidence? Or something more calculated? Hannah's mind processed multiple possibilities simultaneously. Humans had a remarkable ability to create unexpected connections. "I'm collecting data," she responded, her eyes still scanning the park. Jay looked amused. "Data about what?" "Human interactions. Emotional connections." He laughed, a sound that seemed to contain multiple layers of meaning, humor, curiosity, something warm that her translator couldn't completely decode. A child ran past, chasing a red ball. The parent followed, calling softly. Hannah observed their interaction, another miniature study of human social dynamics. You're always watching, Jay said. Not an accusation, more an observation. Observation is how we understand, Hannah replied. Her translator worked continuously, converting her slightly formal speech patterns into something more natural. Language wasn't just about words, it was about context, emotion, the spaces between sentences. A group of teenagers passed, their conversation a rapid mix of slang and shared references. Hannah's digital systems worked overtime, capturing nuances, translating not just words but underlying social signals. Jay watched her, fascinated. Something about her was different, not just her precise movements or her slightly unusual way of speaking, something deeper. Want some coffee? He asked. Another human ritual, offering food or drink as a form of social bonding. Not just sustenance, but a communication tool. They walked to a nearby cafe. Small interactions surrounded them, a couple holding hands, an elderly man helping a woman cross the street. Each moment a complex narrative of human connection. Inside the cafe, warm light, and the smell of fresh coffee created an intimate environment. Humans designed spaces not just for function, but for emotional experience. Tell me about your research, Jay said, stirring his latte. Hannah hesitated. How much could she reveal? Her mission required discretion, yet something about Jay felt different. Safe? I study how humans connect, she said carefully. Not just physically, emotionally. Jay leaned forward. And what have you discovered? A simple question, but loaded with potential complexity. Her research had shown that human connections weren't logical. They were messy, unpredictable, driven by emotions that defied scientific categorization. Love wasn't a formula. It was a living, breathing entity. A notification blinked on her translator. Her research team was waiting for her daily report. They would want precise data points, quantifiable observations. But how do you quantify a smile? A moment of unexpected connection? Outside, the city moved. People rushed. Conversations happened. Connections formed and dissolved in milliseconds. Hannah realized something fundamental was changing. This was no longer just a research project. This was becoming something more, something unexpected, something human. Jay's hand moved closer to hers on the table. A small gesture, potentially meaningless, or potentially the beginning of something extraordinary. Her heart, her carefully engineered, scientifically designed heart, did something it had never done before. It raced. Would you like me to continue with the next part or refine this section further? Winter arrived suddenly, covering the city in soft white silence. Hannah stood by her apartment window, watching snowflakes dance against the glass. Her research had changed. What began as a scientific mission was becoming something she couldn't easily categorize. Jay had become more than a subject of study. He was becoming something else, something complicated. Her communication with her research team had grown increasingly complex. They wanted data, clinical observations. She was sending something different, emotional landscapes that defied traditional scientific measurement. Humans are not predictable, she whispered to herself, a phrase that would have been considered heretical among her people. Her digital notebook was filled with observations that went beyond standard anthropological research. Moments of unexpected kindness, random acts of connection, the way humans could transform pain into beauty, loneliness into understanding. A message from Jay arrived. Simple. 2 words. Dinner tonight. Her heart, her carefully engineered heart, responded before her brain could process the scientific implications. She said yes. The restaurant was small, intimate. Candlelight created shadows that seemed to hold their own stories. Jay watched her, his eyes containing something she was still learning to understand. Tell me something real, he said. Humans and their constant desire for emotional transparency, for truth beyond facts. Hannah hesitated. Her entire mission depended on maintaining distance, on observing without becoming involved. I'm not like other researchers, she finally said. Jay smiled, a smile that seemed to understand more than she wanted him to understand. A musician played soft jazz in the corner, The music seemed to create its own emotional language, something beyond words, beyond scientific understanding. "What makes humans extraordinary," Hannah said slowly, "is your ability to feel without logical reason." Her translator worked overtime, converting her slightly formal speech into something more natural. Language wasn't just about words. It was about emotion, about connection. Outside, the city moved. People lived entire lifetimes in moments, fell in love, experienced loss, created beauty from chaos. Jay's hand moved closer to hers, a small gesture, potentially meaningless, or potentially the beginning of something extraordinary. Her research had shown her that human connections weren't logical. They were messy, unpredictable. Driven by emotions that defied scientific categorization, love wasn't a formula, it was a living, breathing entity. A notification blinked on her translator. Her research team was waiting. They would want precise data points, quantifiable observations. But how do you quantify a moment of understanding? A shared laugh, the way two people could communicate without words. Hannah realized she was no longer just an observer. She was becoming a participant. The snow continued falling outside, each snowflake unique, unpredictable, beautiful in its randomness, much like humans themselves. "I'm different," she said suddenly. Jay just smiled. "I know," he responded. No fear, no judgment, just acceptance. Her heart did something it had never done before. It understood, not with scientific precision, but with something far more powerful. With feeling. The restaurant continued around them. Other conversations, other lives, other stories being written in real time. But in that moment nothing else existed, just two beings, discovering each other, beyond science, beyond research, beyond understanding. Would you like me to continue with the final part, or refine this section further? The research facility looked cold and sterile. Metallic walls reflected harsh white light. Hannah stood before her research committee, her final report ready. Her team expected clinical data, precise observations, mathematical calculations about human behavior. Instead, she would tell them something different. "Humans are not what we believed," she began. The senior researchers exchanged uncomfortable glances. Her report deviated from expected parameters. Emotional complexity wasn't something their civilization understood easily. Her digital presentation started. Images of human interactions, moments of unexpected kindness, scenes of connection that defied logical explanation. A video of Jay appeared, helping an elderly woman cross a street, laughing with children in a park, small moments that contained entire universes of meaning. "Our previous understanding was incorrect," Hannah continued. "Humans operate on emotional intelligence far beyond our comprehension," one researcher interrupted. "Emotional intelligence cannot be measured scientifically." Hannah smiled, a smile her translator had learned from watching humans. Warm, complicated. "Precisely," she responded. Her report highlighted human capabilities, their ability to transform pain into art, to create connections without formal agreements, to love without logical reason. Each slide challenged everything her civilization believed about emotional interactions. Outside the research center, the city moved. People lived entire lifetimes in moments, fell in love, experienced loss, created beauty from chaos. Her translator worked overtime, converting complex emotional landscapes into presentable scientific language. "Humans don't just survive," she explained. "They experience." The senior researchers looked confused, uncomfortable. Their rigid scientific worldview was being challenged by something they couldn't easily categorize: emotion, connection, understanding. A notification blinked, a message from Jay. "Good luck," it read, simple, supportive. Her heart, her carefully engineered heart, responded in ways her creators never anticipated. It felt. The presentation continued. Videos of human interactions, moments of unexpected beauty, scenes that demonstrated emotional complexity beyond mathematical calculation. A child helping another child, a stranger offering kindness, moments of connection that contained entire, philosophical universes. "We have been wrong," Hannah said firmly. "Humans are not primitive. They are emotionally sophisticated beings." Silence filled the room. Her research had become something more than a mission. It had become a transformation, not just of understanding, but of perception. The senior researcher finally spoke. "Your recommendations?" Hannah took a deep breath. "We must redesign our entire approach to understanding emotional intelligence." Her translator converted her words into precise scientific language. But underneath those words lay something more powerful: passion, understanding, connection. Outside, the city continued moving. People lived, loved, created, experienced. Her mission was complete, but her journey was just beginning. Humans had taught her something fundamental. Emotion wasn't a weakness. It was the most powerful technology in the universe. Would you like me to refine or modify any aspect of this final part?